You're not imagining it. If you're over 60 and this game costs more to play than it used to and somehow feels harder to even get on the course, you're reading the situation correctly. And the strange part is every headline this year is celebrating a record season, participation up 41% since 2019, closing in on 50 million golfers. So why does your Saturday morning feel more expensive and more crowded out at the same time? There is a structure behind that gap, deeper than plain inflation, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it in your own local pro shop, your own tee sheet, and your own club bill. Picture the golfer this is actually happening to. He has played this course, or one like it, for 20, 30 years. He is not chasing a country club membership, he just wants a Tuesday morning round for himself and maybe a couple of buddies, same as always. But lately the tee sheet online looks different. The good times are gone before he wakes up. What is left costs more than it did a few years ago. And when he finally does get out, the equipment wall at the pro shop looks like it belongs to a different sport than the one he grew up playing, priced for a game he's not swinging anymore. He is not wrong to feel squeezed, and before we go further, let's deal with the obvious pushback because you probably already ran the math on that 41% number we opened with. That figure comes straight from the National Golf Foundation's own participation reports, and it is real. Doesn't that mean the sport is doing great for everybody? Not evenly. And here is the part that number hides. The same industry research shows that 7 to 8% of golfers account for close to 80% of everything spent in the game. The boom is real, but it is loading onto a narrow slice of the golfing public, not spreading out across it. That golfer checking his tee sheet is watching 3 separate things happen at once, and almost nobody explains all 3 together. So let's do that. Worth pausing on this for a second. If you're a golfer past 60, trying to keep playing without getting fleeced on equipment or fees, there's a full guide that lays out exactly that. Find it 3 ways. The link's waiting in the description, it's pinned to the top comment, or your phone can grab the code right off the screen this second. Worth a look after this. Back to the story. The first thing is the equipment wall itself, and it starts with a question almost no golfer ever asks. Who actually makes the stuff on that wall? Titleist, FootJoy, Scotty Cameron putters, Vokey wedges, Pinnacle balls. Those are 5 different logos on 5 different shelves, and they are all made by the same company. Acushnet Holdings Corporation. One boardroom sets pricing across most of the wall, your Pro V ones and your FootJoy shoes come from. Now look one shelf over. Callaway, Odyssey, Travis Mathew Apparel, OGIO Bags. Also one company, Callaway Golf Company. 2 corporations sit behind a large share of the equipment recommended to you at checkout, and neither is competing against the other on price the way 2 separate small businesses would. You can check that yourself. It is public record sitting in each company's own ownership filings. And here is why that matters for a 63-year-old swinging 78 miles an hour instead of the 112 a top amateur can generate. A top-line driver from either of those companies now retails around $649. 20 years ago, that same category of driver ran closer to $400. Wedges have more than doubled in that same 20-year stretch, the steepest climb of any club in the bag. The golfer who needs the least from a tour spec club because his swing speed cannot unlock what it is built to do is standing at the same shelf, paying close to the same price as the 25-year-old who actually can. I mean, think about that for a second. The equipment engineered hardest for a fast swing is marketed hardest at guys who no longer have one. That is not an accident of the free market. That is a shelf built by 2 companies who both know exactly who is standing in front of it. The ball is the clearest example because it is the one product every golfer rebuys every season. The Pro V1 alone runs close to $60 a dozen, and it does not just compete in that category, it defines it. Industry unit sales tracking puts it roughly 40% ahead of the next best-selling ball in 2024, in a golf ball market where the top 4 manufacturers already control more than 60% between them. That kind of dominance does not happen by accident. It happens when one ball can set the reference price for what a real golf ball is supposed to cost, and everyone else prices around it. A senior swinging 78 miles an hour gets almost none of that ball's engineering because it is built to compress at tour speed. He is paying the reference price for performance his swing cannot unlock on a product he replaces every few rounds, not once every few years like a driver. Now the second piece, and this one hits the wallet on the way in, before you have even bought a ball. According to the National Golf Foundation's own numbers, the average municipal or daily fee green fee sits around $41, and that has climbed roughly 27% since 2019. On its own, that is close to matching general inflation over the same stretch. Fine, you might say, nothing shady there, but look one tier up. Average resort green fees have climbed about 37% in that same window, and more than half of the resort courses the NGF tracks now post peak season rates above $100 a round. The affordable tier crept up near inflation, the premium tier ran ahead of it, and the pricing tool doing that work behind the scenes is called yield management, the same demand-based pricing logic that lets an airline charge two passengers on the identical flight wildly different fares depending only on the minute each one booked. It started in hotels, moved into resorts, and it is spreading into more and more daily fee courses, because software priced to squeeze the highest number a golfer will still pay before he walks away earns more, tee time by tee time, than a flat rate ever will. The flat rate itself is what is disappearing. Replace tee time by tee time with a price the software sets in real time. That is why the bill keeps climbing even when the average barely moves. Here is the easiest way to picture it. Imagine two buckets. One bucket holds every affordable, walk-on, flat-rate round left in the country, and that bucket's average price is creeping up slowly, close to inflation. The other bucket holds the premium and resort rounds, and that bucket is filling up fast, both with more rounds and with a steeper price on each one. Blend both buckets together into one national average, and the number that comes out looks calm on paper. Underneath it are two very different games getting reported as one figure, and that calm-looking average is exactly what lets the industry say golf never got more expensive with a straight face. Here is what almost every explanation for this misses, though. The easy explanation blames greed at the front desk. One bad manager, one greedy course. That explanation is too small. This goes deeper than one bad apple. It is a structural shift in who owns the whole orchard, and the equipment shelf and the green fee screen are only the first two rooms of it. The third room is the one almost nobody outside the industry is watching, and it is the biggest one. Private equity has moved into golf course ownership at a scale the sport has not seen before. In the past 18 months alone, investment firms have put more than $5.5 billion into golf course operations, equipment companies, and entertainment venues. In November of 2025, Bain Capital paid $1.3 billion for Concert Golf Partners, a company that had already grown from 25 private clubs to 39 through acquisition. Around the same window, KSL Capital Partners moved on Invited Clubs, a portfolio of more than 150 properties, in a deal reported near $3 billion. A third firm, Arcus Golf, has built a similar portfolio, roughly 70 courses now valued between $1.5 and $2 billion through the same acquire and consolidate approach. Different firm, same playbook. Here is the part that lands on a 60-year-old walk-on golfer specifically. When a firm buys a course, the fastest way to raise its value is to convert it toward the customer who spends the most. Private members and destination visitors, and away from the customer who spends the least, the guy who wants a flat-rate Tuesday round. Daily fee inventory gets squeezed, private inventory gets built out, and the private side is not shy about the price of admission. The national average private club initiation fee has gone from about $29,000 in 2019 to roughly $60,000 now, according to Club Benchmarking's own 2025 annual report. At the top quartile of clubs, the median initiation fee has crossed $100,000. Private club membership itself is up nearly 50% since 2019. Follow that all the way through and it stops being a mystery. The industry is not shrinking, it is sorting. Golf as a whole keeps setting participation records, more rounds than ever, more new golfers than in decades, but that growth is loading into the private side and the destination resort side, the side with $60,000 buy-ins and $100 peak rates, while the accessible side, the Muni, the daily fee course, the flat rate Tuesday, gets starved of both inventory and investment. Same sport, two completely different economies inside it now. The golfer who actually pays for that sort is the one with the least room to absorb a jump like that. and it is worth being specific instead of vague about who that is. A golfer under 40 with rising income can chase the private membership or eat a pricier resort round and barely notice. A golfer over 60 on Social Security, a pension, or a fixed retirement income does not have that flexibility built in. He is not choosing between two country clubs, he is choosing between playing less golf or finding a course that has not been folded into this shift yet. Compare that to a golfer in his 30s with a growing salary. His income has room to absorb a driver going from $400 to $649, or a resort round crossing 100. He barely adjusts his budget. A retiree on a fixed pension has no growing income to absorb the same increase with. Same price hike, completely different amount of room to move. That gap is why golf got more expensive lands so differently depending on which golfer you ask. Run the arithmetic on a single retired golfer. 1 round a week at a daily fee course tracking near that $41 municipal average is a little over $2,100 a year before a single ball or glove. Add in a new dozen balls every month or two at close to $60 and you are past $2,400 a year for a game that used to run a working person the change in his pocket. None of that requires a country club. That is just the accessible tier at today's prices for someone playing once a week. And no, this is not every course and it is not every manufacturer. Family-run munis still exist. Regional ball and club makers still price fairly. This is not every business in golf acting in bad faith, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. But the direction of the money is documented fact, sitting in the same acquisition filings, ownership records and pricing reports we just walked through. So what do you actually do with that besides get annoyed watching this video? A few things, and none of them require you to fight a private equity firm directly. First, on equipment, you do not need the shelf built for a swing speed of 112 miles per hour. A senior appropriate low compression ball built for your actual swing speed costs a fraction of the tour spec ball next to it, and it will outperform that tour ball for you specifically, not just save you money. Buy for your swing speed, not for the logo the pros wear on Sunday. Second, on courses. Municipal and family-owned daily fee courses that have not been rolled into a consolidated portfolio still exist in most areas, and they are usually the ones still running something close to a flat rate. Ask who owns the course before you get loyal to it. It is public information and it takes 5 minutes to check. Third, and this is the part that actually moved a needle before, at a course that tried to push a similar increase through, the golfers who showed up in person and said no got a real result. This industry still answers to the people who play it when those people organise instead of just quietly playing less. Fourth, on timing and buying. Off-peak and shoulder season rates at the same course can run half of peak weekend pricing, and most courses will not advertise that, you have to ask. And the US and prior generation equipment market is deep enough now that a ball or driver, 1 generation old, the exact model a Tour Pro was playing 2 years ago, sells for a fraction of the current release with almost none of the performance gap that matters at a slower swing speed. You are not settling for less. You are refusing to subsidize a marketing cycle built for someone else's swing. We built the specifics of all 4 of those into the full guide, on screen now if you want the exact playbook instead of just the theory. If this is the kind of thing the golf media does not tell you, that is exactly why this channel exists. Subscribe, because we are going to keep pulling these numbers apart every week, and next time we are following the money 1 layer deeper, straight into which specific courses in your state have already changed hands. Tell us your home course down in the comments, and what a round there cost you 5 years ago versus what it costs now. We are building a real list, not a guess, and your number is part of the evidence. Golf did not get too popular to afford. It got sorted into 2 different games wearing the same name, and only one of them is still being built for you.